Hey YouTube, welcome back to my channel. So Meghan has flopped hard. Megxie is going down. She's losing this court case, and the first part of her high court challenge has been struck out. And it's just, I'm not surprised. I think I did say this in my previous video. I don't think that she has much of a case, because when the letter was published regarding her father, what she wrote to her father regarding their damaged relationship, she was a public figure, so the media did have every right to dig into her private life. I'm sure that this is a heavy blow to Megxie. I'm sure this is a heavy blow to Harry. They probably didn't see this coming, but then when are they ever seeing anything that is coming for them coming? They didn't even see that the British taxpayer would be upset with them with the way in which they carried on. So I'm going to read this article. It's by The Mirror. She doesn't have much grounds for a private and confidentiality breach anyway. She doesn't really have much grounds. So it says here, Meghan Markle loses first High Court challenge over privacy claim against newspaper. Meghan Markle is suing Associated Newspapers after the Mail on Sunday and Mail Online published parts of a private and confidential letter she wrote to her estranged father, Thomas Markle. Carries on to say, Meghan Markle has lost the first round of her High Court battle against a newspaper over its publication of a private and confidential letter to her estranged father. So she basically said or alleged that the way in which they edited certain parts, they published it with malicious intent to make her look like a spiteful, nasty character. And it was done deliberately with the intent to destroy her public image. But we all know she's single-handedly done that effectively on her own. So it carries on to say, allegations in the Duchess of Sussex privacy claim against Associated Newspapers publisher of the Mail on Sunday were branded irrelevant and thrown out by a judge on Friday in the first ruling of the case. Mr. Justice Warby struck off Meghan's claims that the newspaper had acted dishonestly and in bad faith, that it stirred up a conflict between her and her dad, Thomas, and that it had an agenda of portraying her in a false and damaging light. So this is what she's effectively tried to claim, that they tried to portray her in a terrible light. But if you do not contact your dad, who then subsequently suffers a heart attack, is fending off the media by himself, who is wandering around, being approached by various characters with no real royal protection, to the run-up to your wedding, anything that you do after that, you're going to look bad. She now wants to blame the media, but this is what Megxie does. She tries to place the blame on everyone else but herself, and you just can't do that in the real world. Mud sticks, and that she's found herself in a very tight bind, and I think we can all see that. It's like watching a train wreck, really, to say the least. So the article carries on to say, a law firm representing Meghan, who is not appealing the decision, said, "We are surprised, but insisted the Duchess still has a strong case against the publisher." I don't think that they are surprised, but I do think that they are definitely cashing in on this. They're probably getting paid a fair pretty penny to represent this case. And something else that I also found quite funny about this was the fact that if she does win damages against the Associated Press, she is going to be donating these damages to an anti-bullying charity. Please, she really likes to play the victim. She really likes to try and picture herself as the martyr and the underdog, and it's just simply not true. You've had a £45 million wedding. You've had it's very expensive house renovated for you. You're now jetting around the world. We don't even know where you are from Monday to Tuesday. You're now subsequently in LA. You was in Vancouver in a £12 million mansion. She's had a fabulous life, and for her to now say, oh, I'm gonna infer that I've been a victim of bullying and racism by the British media and the British people, and Britain's an awful place. Britain is the place that made you, newsflash. No one really knew who you was before, so it's a laughing moment, really, for me personally. I just find it ridiculous. So it carries on to say, so this allegedly her lawyers are surprised when not. After delivering a setback to the Duchess, Associated Newspapers said it would ask her to pay its legal costs of more than £50,000 after she refused its offer to deal with the issue out of court. So I covered this in my previous video. They did actually offer Meghan a deal to not go ahead with the court case while we have this pandemic going on, and to take a step back, let the dust settle and try and settle it out of court, come to some kind of rationale. And she insisted, no, I don't want that. The case is going ahead. I insist it carries on, whether it's Skype, Corona, no Corona. It's about to go down. That is just absolutely, it's very self-centered. We know that she doesn't care anything about the crisis or these alleged people she's trying to help. It's all about herself. It's all about keeping her name in the media. I don't think that personally, realistically, any rational person expects Meghan as a public figure to actually win this case. What I really think this case is about keeping herself relevant in the media eye, keeping our attention, so that when the dust settles and everything lies down, she still has the clout. She's still one of the world's most talked about beings, because let's face it, that's what Meghan and Harry really care about. They just want to be spoken about all the time. Me again, with Harry in the background. They want to be the centre of our universe. They want to be the centre of the world. And well, it's definitely working. That part's working, but it's just ridiculous. What grounds does she really have? Anyway, so it carries on to say, Meghan, now living in LA with husband Prince Harry and baby Archie, who turns a year old on May 6th after quitting life as senior royals, will also have to pay her own costs for the hearing last week. No, we, the British taxpayer, are paying. Any money that Meghan went into that marriage with now must be long gone. She spent £1 million, probably about £3 million in total on clothes alone, just by being in the royal family. She was allegedly worth $5 million, which is about £3.8 million. She can't have any money left, really, and the private jets. So the public, unfortunately, the British taxpayer will unfortunately be paying for this ridiculous case. And it carries on to say, they are said to be more than £60,000. A full trial could take place later this year or in early 2021, and it could see Meghan and her father given evidence in a London courtroom. I guess that will be after we get back to normal. The former Suits actress is suing the publisher over 5 articles, 2 in the Mail on Sunday and 3 on the Mail Online, which were published in February 2019 and reproduced parts of a handwritten letter she sent to Mr. Markle in August 2018. A preliminary hearing in the case, in which lawyers for the publisher asked for parts of the Duchess's case to be struck out, was conducted in an online video call last week due to the COVID crisis, with the judge sitting at the Royal Courts of Justice in London and lawyers and reporters attending remotely. He carries on to say, Associated Newspapers asked Mr. Justice Warby to strike off the following allegations in Meghan's claim that the defendant acted dishonestly and in bad faith, and that the defendant deliberately dug up or stirred up conflict between the claimant and her father, and that the defendant was distressed by the defendant's obvious agenda of publishing intrusive or offensive stories about her, intended to portray her in a false and damaging light. The defendant argued that the allegations were irrelevant in law or inadequately particularized, or that it would be disproportionate to litigate the issues raised, so that they should be excluded from the scope of the case on case management grounds. Mr. Justice Warby agreed the allegations should not form part of her case at this stage because they were irrelevant to her claim for misuse of private information, copyright infringement, and breach of the Data Protection Act. I really personally think that she is not going to get far, as I've said, with this case. And the article carries on to say, but he said those parts of her case may be revived at a later stage if they are put on a proper legal basis. He wrote, in fact, he's saying that, but it's probably, to make her feel good or feel like she has something, like he's not being biased. He has to appear, obviously, impartial being a judge, but the reality of it is there's no grounding for such allegations, because we know that the media runs stories and they don't always run stories that we like. They're not always going to say the nicest things. They may edit a part that's more salacious to get more clicks on the article, but to say that they done it with malicious intent, I mean, the Daily Mail, Mail Online covers millions of celebrities and millions of stories all around the world. Why would they necessarily have it out for Meghan? They had a salacious story, they ran it, that's it. It can't be from a case of malicious intent. It's simply about delivering the news in the most interesting, enticing way that they can for the reader. That's what they do. They serve their audience in that way. So I don't think that they will be able to revive this later on in the court case. I really just don't see it happening. Anyway, it carries on saying here, he wrote in Friday's ruling, some of the allegations are struck out as irrelevant to the purpose for which they are pleaded. Some are struck out on the further or alternative ground that they are inadequately detailed. I have also acted so as to confine the case to what is reasonably necessary and proportionate for the purpose of doing justice between these parties. And it's true, he has to, you can't just chuck the kitchen sink at everything. And that's what Meghan and Harry seem to do. One or two people say one or two racist comments and suddenly everybody's racist and the whole country's racist and they have to leave and now they can't move into Frogmore because everything is just too much for them, and they want to, it's unreasonable. The way they see the world is unreasonable. The way they're rationalizing things is not the way it's done, and you can't conclude anything if you're just having a vendetta against everything, anything and anybody. You know, they have a difficult relationship with the British media. They weren't happy with the stories that they ran, but did that really mean that they had to step down as senior royals, move to Vancouver, then move to LA, wasting taxpayers' money in their wake? Did it really mean that? Was it rational? No, you're not happy with those particular stories. It doesn't mean that the whole country is bad and that you have to paint us as an archaic, racist country. So it's very infuriating to watch these guys, but then it's how can you ignore it, because it's absolutely preposterous what they're trying to get away with. So yeah, that's it so far, guys. So she's the first part of her case has fallen down. I think that they've done a good job in doing that. I think that the judge has come to the right conclusion. He can't rule on that because it's based on feeling. It's based on raw emotion, and that's what Meghan and Harry do. You know, to assume or to insinuate that they was trying to destroy her life. She single-handedly done that by not having that non-disclosure with her dad. You done that on your own. Got exploited, and invariably it would. You're a public figure now. Wake up, Meghan. So yeah, I'm going to carry on following this case. I don't think she's going to get very far with this, but I imagine she's going to push forward with this. Anyway, guys, I'm going to go. That's just my 2 pence worth. That's my thoughts on it. And I'll be back with another video, guys. Bye.